All right. So it's another Sunday. I'm going to talk about a few random things. One thing that I do want to mention is that I am going to start limiting these a little bit to more like an hour. Um, I'm just really busy in real life. I kind of had a bunch of things sort of align, and I'm just super busy. That's also why you might have noticed that I haven't been putting out quite as many videos. I was hoping to do like a full season Acolyte review, kind of, like a nice 2-3 hour video, but I don't want, I do want to do it. I just really I just haven't had the time. It's kind of really what it boils down to. I started a new job as part of it. Since it's an engineering job, I need to take the FE so I can get my EIT. So I need to start studying for that. And then I'm also trying to get my own book done. I was hoping to get it done when I was between jobs. That didn't work out. I'm almost done. I'm kind of in the final stages of the edit now. But even being in the final stages of editing, it's just super time consuming. Hey, what's up, Tyler? Like, it's like 106,000 words. So, one really thorough edit, I was doing 2 chapters a day. Took me 2 weeks still. And then I noticed kind of a quirk in my writing that I want to fix throughout the document, but I noticed it halfway through. So now I've got to search certain words and find them and make sure I'm consistent with, capitalizing things that are particular to my story because it's dystopian sci-fi, soft sci-fi. But either way, you have to be consistent, and I can't afford an editor because if you don't know, you're looking at easily a couple grand. And having to do it yourself, it's no, I couldn't ask you to do that, man. It's it's really time consuming. And I couldn't pay you. So I appreciate the offer. But, you know, when you look for editors, if you use a service like Readsy, they charge you by the word, right? My cat just jumped in my lap. Come on, Bane, get down. They charge you by the word. So what do you use to write your story? Oh, I use just Microsoft Word. Nothing nothing, crazy. I guess I should just do normal, since I'm trying to talk to you guys. I prefer to play on Insanity, but I'll be honest, this game has one of the most brutal final bosses of any game that I've played. And it's brutal in a way that isn't fun. It's brutal in a way that you're like, wow, like this is absolute horse shit. It's not like a good, like I would say it's actually kind of a poor design, which makes me sound salty. No, that's okay, Tyler. I would feel bad doing that to you. I appreciate the offer though. And, at the end of the day, I'm hoping to get kind of this final edit done today, and then do an out loud, like one read through where I read it out loud with my wife. Hopefully she'll catch anything weird. Reading it out loud, I think gives you one good go through of like what sounds awkward or should be reworded. And then after that, I'll probably reach out, send it to a few literary agents just to see if any of them want to pick it up. I did it before and none were interested, so I don't really expect that to happen. But, I'll still do it just to see. And then after that, I just had to format it and self-publish it on Amazon. So it's just a really time consuming thing. And now that I'm working again, if I'm working from home that day, that's 9 hours because I'm on a 980 schedule. And if I go to work that day, it's more like 10 and a half because my commute is about half an hour in the morning and then more like 45 minutes in the evening. And then, it's always just a little bit stressful and tiring when you're starting a new job. I don't know how often you guys have changed jobs, but I mean, this is my fifth job in 10 years. Um, and each time there's a little bit of a phase where you kind of feel like you don't belong there because you're like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. And then once you learn the job, you're like, oh, it's actually really easy. So I'm assuming that'll be the case here as well. But right now I'm still in the phase of like trying to figure out exactly what my job is going to be, what I need to do, who I'm going to be working with, all that type of shit, kind of just the standard stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. That's why I've been a little bit slow on everything. My wife and I watched the first 2 episodes of Free Aaron. I've already seen it. And then we completely stopped because I got distracted by a bunch of other shows and movies. So, it's just kind of a lot going on. That's all. But hopefully I'll get to it. There we go. That's a better volume for me. And then on top of that, I signed up for the FE on September 30th. I took it at the end of June and failed. I mean, I'm 10 years out of grad school, and my degree wasn't in engineering. It was in geology. So I was like, maybe I can cram for 2 weeks and get lucky and pass. And I actually think I was close the way that I calculated my score. But this time I'm going to, study more normally. Because I took 2 weeks and I just studied like 10 hours a day. So this time I'm going to work and then come home and try to study for an hour or two a night, which is obviously a much better way to learn than trying to just jam everything into, 10, 12 days, whatever, and hope that you pass. So with that, the new job, and then obviously I am trying to do stuff for the channel still. Like I need to watch the Rebel Moon director's cut because I'm assuming that's still a pile of dog shit. Oh, you're a performer? Oh, what kind of performances, if you don't mind saying? Oh, you move for work a lot too? Yeah, I've moved a lot too, Mr. Divine. I've lived in Denver, North Dakota, Florida, and now I'm in South Carolina now. So yeah, I get it, man. It sucks. Like I was actually pretty fortunate with this position because it's really hard to get a job in engineering when you don't have your FE passed, which is why I took it to begin with. You sing opera, shit. Do you have a channel? I want to hear it. Fucking Chad has all kinds of skills. But I like opera music. I'm not going to pretend to be like an expert or anything, but I actually listen to it sometimes when I'm writing because I can't listen to music that has words or lyrics when I'm writing because I find it very distracting. So I end up listening to a lot of I listen to opera sometimes because you can't understand the words anyway. It's kind of like just another instrument. And I listen to a lot of like soundtracks. Like usually like I think recently I've been listening to like Lord of the Rings, Halo, Mass Effect. Obviously Hans Zimmer has a bunch of stuff. Hiroyuki Sawano, who does a lot of the anime music, his soundtracks are all really good. So, there's I'm fucking not paying attention. So there's like plenty of good music that doesn't have lyrics, and that kind of helps me focus. Oh, you have an Instagram? Okay, nice. Were you seeing some old Dexter's Lab opera stuff? Huh. Yeah, there's a amount. I don't know how much you give a shit. Okay, so Tyler's Instagram, if anybody wants to hear his opera, is at Tyler Lee Enor. Oh, tenor. Sorry. Jesus Christ, I'm retarded. Tenor. Tenor. So, yeah, if you guys want to go check that out, I'll have to find it after the stream and see what you're doing. But there's a ton of good music that I feel like people just don't listen to because they kind of like, I don't know. I think people view like classical music and soundtracks and stuff as kind of boring, or I think they might view it as kind of pretentious. And it doesn't help that Hollywood, in like every single show and movie, if there's a smart character, you can bet your fucking ass they're gonna be listening to like Beethoven or Wagner or Bach or whatever. Like it's almost a guarantee. It's almost a guarantee. But hopefully I'll be a little bit less busy. Like once the book is done, I can just focus on studying in the channel. I'm hoping to get a little bit more into it. But right now with all four things, it's just kind of time consuming. And then obviously I still want to, hang out with my wife and trying to lose weight and all that. So it's just kind of a full schedule right now. Of course, I say that, yeah. Mr. Divine says, cliches about the classical music thing. Such a and Tyler says it's such a horrible stigma that opera is only for rich people and shit. It should be for everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's just good music. And I would bet fucking anybody has heard, is it Ava Marie? Like the super famous one? From Carmen or whatever. I mean, it's an awesome song. And then you have stuff like the one that gets beat to death, and I'm blanking on the name right now. I think it's from Excalibur originally. It's like the super epic one that they use in the opening for the Jackass movie. Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. I can't remember the fucking name. Because I think the name is actually very simple and short. I can't sing for shit, so I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, so it bums me out that people will like shit on music like that. Because anime, I would say probably even more so than Hollywood, does a lot of like original soundtracks and kind of like full orchestra stuff. And it's really good. I mean, I don't know like a ton of the composers, but I mean, obviously Hiroyuki Sawano is probably the biggest one. There's a woman named Yuki Kaji. She did Sword Art Online. She did Erased. I think she did the Fate Stay series as well. She's got a ton of good music. The guy's name who I can't remember who does My Hero Academia. Also, he does a ton of good music. Hiroyuki Sawano had like an apprentice, and now he's kind of doing his own thing. And he is doing the music for... Oh, shit. What series is it that's coming out right now? Oh, I can't fucking remember. But he does this. He does the music for season 4 of Attack on Titan. His name's like Moto Tome or something. I can't remember. But he's really good. His style is very similar to Hiroyuki Sawano's. Does Family of the Opera count? Yeah, I mean, Family of the Opera has good music. I mean, obviously the best song is probably the most famous one that everyone has heard. But a lot of the music in that movie is good. The movie itself is okay. It's kind of hard for me to see Gerard Butler sing because he talks like a fucking cartoon character. Like, I don't know how many people notice it or if I'm just like an asshole. But he talks out of the side of his mouth. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that meme where someone shows the anime characters and they're like facial features and they show them in anime and then they show them side by side with a human like Photoshop to look like the anime and it looks ridiculous. My Angel of Music, yeah. Shit. And I prefer the play or Broadway. Yeah, I feel like plays are usually a little bit more immersive than movies. I mean, I saw Aladdin in person. It was pretty fun. I did the thing where, I don't know if you guys have ever done this. Maybe you have. Where you go see a movie, but then the orchestra live plays the soundtrack. So I did that for Nightmare Before Christmas. It's pretty fun. I mean, obviously it's the same movie, but it's just neat to have all the music live. And I've heard they do it for Star Wars as well. I haven't seen that though. I've seen Sweeney Todd live as well. Sweeney Todd's a super fun one because it's got that real dark humor. And then if you get good performers, obviously, you know, there's some really good stuff in there. My favorite Sweeney Todd song is probably I think it's called Joanna's Quartet. I think it's called Joanna's Quartet because there's a part in there where there's four singers and the music is just overlapping. Or sorry, the singers are all overlapping like near the end of the song. And it's just so good. So yeah, I mean, musicals I feel like kind of get shit on. And I think a big part of the reason is that a lot of people think it's like gay. Which I mean, maybe a lot of the performers are gay, but a lot of the stories are kind of like almost like classic Greek tragedies or something, you know? Oh, Book of Mormon was super fun. I've seen that one twice. Book of Mormon's obviously super famous. If you ever even if you don't want to go see the play, you don't have the ability to, you can always just pull up clips on YouTube and the songs are just hilarious. And the music is actually good, which I think is a big part of why it's so successful. Most of my colleagues are not into women. Yeah, I mean, I don't personally care that if every single performer is gay. The stories themselves are good. So to me it's irrelevant. I mean, I think when you get into the more artsy stuff, you're definitely looking at more, you know, women and kind of effeminate men, even if they're not gay. I actually took ballet classes as an adult when I was out in Denver, and I was like the only guy in the classes, obviously, because I worked nights, so I had the whole day to fill. And the only male teacher that I had was actually married to one of the women there. But even still, he wasn't some like macho guy, obviously. But ballet was fucking hard. Like, whether it's gay dudes or not, that shit is exhausting. And I'll be honest, when I did it, I was kind of like, oh, like ballet is all fucking chicks and gay dudes. Like, there's no way it should be a problem for me to do it, right? And about 5 minutes into my first class, I was like, oh shit. Like, these are all muscles that I do not use, and they are not strong. And it definitely gave me a lot more appreciation for kind of dancers and, you know, that crowd. You know what I love about opera, though? There hasn't been many weird agenda pushing to compromise the story. I always wonder, and this might be a retarded question, but how much new stuff is there story wise for opera? Because I feel like a lot of it would be kind of different takes on whatever classic, you know? I mean, that's coming from me as someone who's completely like a normie when it comes to opera. That's like the impression that I'm under, is that there's, you know, like essentially like a couple hundred really famous ones, and then each studio or company or whatever you want to call them does kind of their own take on it, I guess. Because, well, I mean, it doesn't help. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because the music is also very classical sounding or old sounding or whatever you want to say. Like it, I mean, it's not like there's a ton of. I mean, you're not gonna get like rapping in hip hop or anything. I mean, I know new stuff does come out. Like obviously, you have stuff like Hamilton, which I don't know if you guys ever heard the music in that. I never watched the musical, but I did listen to some of the music, and whew, it is absolute dog shit. To me, it seems like one of those things where upper middle class white women listen to it and they're kind of like, oh, I like the hip hops. I should write the first rap opera. Yeah, that's Bear the dog. He's the one who requested Band of Brothers. I know him in real life, so I guess he just popped in to be a twat. Because are you hungover? You're just bored on a Sunday? But yeah, Hamilton to me seems like it's designed for like the same audience as the people who would like She-Hulk. Just 40-year-old, like upper middle class white women who want to think that they're cool with the blacks and the coloreds. Like they don't want to accept that they're old and not cool anymore, and they're not attractive anymore. So they think they're still down if they listen to rap. Oh, you're about to take the dog to the park. Yeah, your dog's an idiot. Are you bringing him to the trip? Did you decide on that, or did you not want to leave him alone for like 15 hours on game day? There is some new opera, but most of it isn't good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of tough when you have a genre that's been around for a couple hundred years. So Tyler says there is a new one that's good about the Christmas armistice in World War One, which is really good. Huh. Yeah, I kind of wonder if even if you're writing a new opera, if you would be better off setting it like a couple hundred years prior. As to Bear the dog is going to bring Bear the literal dog on our trip. Yeah, me and some of my college buddies are meeting up in October to go to a football game. And he's going to bring his happy retarded dog. So, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with the channel. A really weird sidebar there about music and stuff, which I don't mind. I just didn't expect to talk about fucking soundtracks and opera on to start the stream out. If you are looking for soundtracks, Lord of the Rings obviously is one of the best ones. Star Wars is always a classic. For video games, Halo, I think people don't understand how much good music Halo has. And the more that I listen to it, I'm like, damn, Halo's awesome. But then I'm like, fuck that show. Like, that show didn't use any of the music. And there's probably, I don't even know, 10 hours of just good ass music. Like, I don't know how fans or people who claim to be fans, I mean, it could just be Paramount interns, can watch that Halo show and not just find it like completely disrespectful. Like the fact that they didn't even use the music. Yeah, Hans Zimmer. I mentioned him earlier. Hans Zimmer is great. John Williams has a ton of good stuff. I can never say this guy's name, but I think it's Ramin Djawadi. He did the music for Game of Thrones. He's done it for a bunch of other stuff too. He's got a ton of good music. Like, there's just so much out there. Mass Effect, obviously, you have I think like 10 hours of good music. It's just I like there's so much good music I feel people just don't listen to because it's not like in the mainstream or trendy or people think you're weird. Morricone? Ennio Morricone. I feel like I've heard that name, but I don't know if I would be able to name any music that he's done. Because was he a little bit older? Like maybe an Italian guy or something? I can't remember. Maybe someone told me about him before, and then I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, like I just wish it was a little bit more normal for people just to listen to like, soundtracks and just kind of good music when there's just so much of it out there. I mean, even if you just want to go like Disney musicals, like between like The Lion King and, fucking Aladdin, Little Mermaid, um, Mulan, like there's just so much good music out there that I feel like people like will only watch in the in the context of it fits with the show. And it's kind of a shame because I feel like, in some ways, I actually enjoy soundtracks a little bit more. Like when I go run, I'll listen to like anime music, just, soundtracks, whatever, because, I associate it with certain things. Like if I listen to Attack on Titan while I'm running, the shit gets me jacked up because I'm thinking about, like it's weird because you're kind of like almost emotionally tied to the stuff that happened in the show. So you have like a kind of a predisposition to be invested in it like beforehand. It's a really weird thing. I don't know if you call it almost like a conditioned stimulus or something, like one of Pavlov's dogs. Arcane. Oh yeah, Tyler's saying Arcane has good music. Hercules and Hunchback have good music. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like any Disney movie that you pick from, well, I guess like the pre 2000 or whatever is gonna have just good fucking music. And like there's no reason that you couldn't sit around and listen to it the same way that you listen to fucking Taylor Swift or Miley Cyrus or whatever horse shit people were listening to, Also, I'm in the middle of a tropical storm. So if I drop today, that'll probably be why. And if I drop, I'll probably just not bother to get back on since I'm, trying to limit these streams to like an hour anyway. I don't want to fight with the internet during this. Like it's an absolute downpour outside. My poor cat that I took in he was an outdoor cat for 3 years. And I kind of stole him from the neighbor without realizing. And shit, you fucking bastard. And I took him in, but he still definitely has some like triggers. Because obviously he was outside during all these thunderstorms. So like every time that it storms, he's been like hiding like under the treadmill and stuff. I feel bad for him. And I try to get him to come sit in my lap, but there's only so much you can do for him when he's freaking out like that. Mr. Divine says, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. I actually just watched that a couple weeks ago. I was a little bit drunk. I put it on with my wife because she said it was like her favorite Disney movie, and she was upset they butchered the live action one. Because, God forbid there be romance in a fucking Disney movie now. Even Deadpool got cucked. But, yeah, I've got about half hour left. So I wanted to talk briefly, at least about the stuff that's in the title of the video. So EFAP yesterday did like a 6-hour stream, typical EFAP fashion. And they went through Deadpool and Wolverine and essentially just tore it apart. Tyler says one of my colleagues is in every Disney movie that has a choir. That's awesome. Good for him or her. But EFAP fucking shredded Deadpool. Obviously, they go into very autistic detail. Oh, Tyler says that he has a really deep voice. And he's the guy that says be a man in the Make a Man Out of You Mulan song. That's awesome. Good for him. That'd be so cool to be like, yeah, I'm the cool voice guy. But EFAP shredded Deadpool. My video was like when I go see a movie in theaters, essentially what I do is I think about it on my way home from the theater. I kind of organize my thoughts because I do generally the same format for every video where, I like to give a quick overview of what I thought. And then I go through kind of the bigger plot points. I don't script most of the time. I used to, but honestly, it ended up causing me like essentially just being a bad use of my time because my scripts ended up being exactly what I would have said anyway. So just by organizing my thoughts on the way home and kind of thinking about the big stuff that I want to talk about, I can come home, record it in about, I don't know. I think my trap video was like, or sorry, my Deadpool video I think was like 10 or 11 minutes. So the recording itself probably took about 15. And then I go through, chop out the pauses, fuck ups. If you can hear me, like sometimes for whatever reason, I guess my mouth gets dry. I try to cut out like the little lip smacking sounds and all that shit. And then I put the video up. Obviously, if I do like a long video, like when I did my full Halo season 2 video, obviously that's scripted because that requires more structure. I want to make sure I don't forget any details. So that's kind of how I did my Deadpool video as well, and the trap video. Pretty much anything in theater that you see me do, or that I do a video for, that's kind of what I do. Because I just find that to be the most efficient and the best use of my time. It's kind of the same reason I don't put a ton into video editing because I don't know. I'm not a good enough video editor to make it like a big part of the video. And then obviously, like I said, I'm busy. So for me, it just works out that way. So, when I talked about Deadpool and Wolverine, I mentioned that I thought the plot made no sense because the multiverse rules are just nonsense at this point. Like every movie just makes up a rule for the multiverse. And then that's kind of just what they go with. But they went through it. They went through all the character stuff that I thought they made some really good points. And they seemed to find the movie funnier than I did. But I think Rags said that he's like, yeah, I like breathed heavily through my nose a couple times, essentially. Like he didn't find it very funny either. And then Mahler over the last week has gotten way more harsh. Like on Drinker's video, on Open Bar, he was kind of like, yeah, it just didn't work for me. I felt like it was, I think he called it a skinwalker. He's like, it's essentially a Marvel movie under the guise of not being a Marvel movie. And he said it had corporate edge. And I thought those were really good points too. And I mean, obviously, we're all, like, no one's going to deny at this point that financially, it's kicking ass. But I do think, like, as far as like rewatchability, there's practically none for that movie. And to me, this is going to be another one of those movies that when people watch it sitting on their couch by themselves and they don't have like the theater vibe with them, that they're going to be like much less impressed with this movie than they were when they saw it in theater with a crowd. Everyone's hyped to see it. And I don't know why. I don't know if this is like a pet peeve of mine or if I'm just an asshole. I'm so fucking tired of cameos being praised. Because all a cameo says is that you paid some actor who had some free time. Like if you don't incorporate it into the story in a meaningful way, then who gives a fuck? And I think they're a neat thing for the fans, right? Like it is cool to see. Well, I don't know if I want to spoil anything or if you guys give a shit, but it's cool to see some people come back and play a character they haven't played in a long time, right? But when they come back and they just say like their most famous line and they don't really matter to the story and they're purely there just for like the sake of saying that, like, oh, they had their cameo. Like, I'm going to go ahead and give up. a couple spoilers. So I don't know if you guys give a fuck about Deadpool spoilers. I can't imagine anyone does at this point. It's been 2 weeks. But like they do this part um where Ryan Reynolds, or sorry, Deadpool is looking around for other Wolverines, and Henry Cavill is one of the cameos, right? Um but so he comes in, he gives one line and then he fucks off. Like the movie doesn't change without that. Mr. Divine says, "What's a meaningful cameo in your opinion?" I thought No Way Home probably did it the best. I wasn't a huge fan of that movie, but you know they brought him in. They were crucial to the plot and his character development. Like, if you incorporate them into the story, I think that's fine. But I think a lot of what the MCU does is simply they just appear in their costume for a minute. Right? I mean, even something like I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Like was it Doctor Strange where Charlize Theron shows up at the end as some fucking comic book character? I don't even know who she was. And that's purely just to bait the audience into being like, oh, well, I definitely need to see the next thing now because she's going to be so and so. Like, even like all the Stan Lee cameos, right? I would call those meaningless. Like, it's fun. It's kind of like a meme to have Stan Lee in every movie since he's the creator and blah, blah, blah. But the movies don't change without him in them. Like, to me, a meaningful cameo has to do something for the story. And I got myself turned around now and I'm fucking lost like an idiot. Tyler says, "You're definitely right about all the meaningless cameos. If it's a nod to something important, great. But if it's just random shit, then no thanks." Yeah. Like everyone's been talking about. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going with spoilers at this point. Everyone's been talking about like, you know, Wesley Snipes and Channing Tatum and Jennifer Garner showing up. And it's like, yeah, cool. Would like the movie could function without them. Like all we really got from them was a little bit of, I would say, kind of shitty comedy. Wesley Snipes made a meta joke about being the only Blade, and then he did his ice motherfucker still trying to ice skate uphill or whatever. Like the movie didn't need him. That was purely just to say he was in it. Pitch Meeting says it well. Something like it'll make me go for the whole movie. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling on it. Is it just feels like how many people can we jam into this movie? And then also there's the aspect of is the way that they use them in the movie like effective or efficient, right? Like I don't know if the way that Chris Evans was used was great. A perfect example for Deadpool of an absolute bullshit cameo was Sabretooth. That's his name, right? Wolverine's brother. Mr. Divine says I needed Blade. I like Wesley Snipes. I mean, from what I've heard, it kind of sounds like he got screwed over also with all that tax stuff. But and Wesley Snipes, to be fair, might have been the best cameo in Deadpool. But like the Sabretooth one was the perfect example to me of like the problem that I have with cameos. Like they showed it in the trailer a million fucking times. They baited the shit out of it, and it was all a setup for a dumbass joke. Yeah, Tyler says just meaningless key jangling. And that's kind of the issue that I had with it. And I said it in my video that this movie, once you get rid of the language and gore, it's the same as every other Marvel movie that's come out the last 5 years, except a little bit funnier. I really do think in like 2 or 3 months when this comes out on streaming, I don't know what the deal is. I think, what's the standard theater run now? Like 60 days before it goes to streaming? So in 2 months when it comes out on Disney Plus, I'm assuming Disney Plus will put it up. It's their property, even though it's, very R-rated. I think people are going to watch this movie at home, and you're going to see like a slow trickle of people being like, I still like it, but it wasn't as good as I remember, or something along those lines. Like, to me, this just seems like full steam ahead on the hype train with no real substance. So that's kind of where I'm at with Deadpool. And EFAP agreed. And I actually listened to Metal Commander's stream with John Graham, who does RB and the Chief, which is hilarious if you haven't seen it, and Mark the Cyborg. And there was one more person on there. I can't remember who it was. And they were kind of like in the same boat as me. And this is one of those things where my comment section was just littered with people calling me a pussy and a retard and not understanding that it's a comedy. And I think that, as time goes on, I'm going to be more right than wrong. So whatever. Even if I'm completely wrong, like I was wrong about the box office, obviously. I predicted 700 million because I was basing it off of the previous Deadpools. And it's fucking exploded. Funnily enough, I still think it's not going to be profitable because I'm guessing they spent about 500 million on the movie between marketing and production. I mean, production we've already had confirmed was like 300 million. I'm guessing marketing was like another 300. Like Little Mermaid was 250, and I think Deadpool is the most marketed movie that I can remember. Like, it is just everywhere with advertising. So I would put it at like 200 to be conservative, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if it comes out that it was more like 300 for marketing. Which, if you're looking at 500 million, that means you're looking at 1.1, 1.2 billion just to break even. And I think Mr. Devine said it earlier that Deadpool can't lead the MCU. And that's also a huge part of the problem. Is that Deadpool can't lead the MCU. Like, there's no way to incorporate Deadpool without him becoming a husk of himself into the rest of the MCU. So they're still stuck with what they have for years. And the only way that they wouldn't be is if they just completely scrap everything and kind of don't acknowledge it and then just start a new series of characters and like introducing new characters. But I don't even know if they can do that because they want everything to be tied together. Like, obviously that's the nature of the MCU. Tyler says it's like a whole movie with Robert Downey Jr. reveals. Yeah. I'm getting lost a lot fucking looking at the screen and talking to you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that I think it's funny that EFAP agreed with me. And even in their comments, they're getting all kinds of shit. No surprise there. There's a really weird thing where people like take it personally if you don't like something that they like. And I don't get it. I just don't understand like that impulse, I guess. Like, I can understand being like, I think someone's wrong, but I don't understand why you'd be like actually angry that someone doesn't like something that you like. It's fucking weird to me. And my comment section is any indication. People are like, I mean, you would think Deadpool was their stepdad. I don't know. It's fucking weird. But so I wanted to mention that. I want to talk about this Trap movie, which is the newest M. Night Shyamalan movie with Josh Hartnett. I already made a video on it. Really cool premise. And he just, I don't know if he doesn't care anymore. I don't know if he's become like an egomaniac. I don't know if he's surrounded by yes men, or maybe he had someone who kept him in check who's no longer around. But if you look at his IMDb, it is just a series of calamities. Like, every single thing that he's done. Some people have said Lady in the Water is good. I've heard it's bad. Haven't watched it. Don't particularly care to. Even under the assumption that it's good, he's got 21 movies he's done, and you're looking at like Invincible, Sixth Sense, Lady in the Water, if you want to give that one to him. Split is okay. James McAvoy is very good in it. Mr. Divine says series of bangers. Glass was an absolute pile of dog shit. You know, you have stuff like The Happening, which seems like a farce because it's so bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know, like, and I've said this, I think, I've said the same thing about Pirates of the Caribbean, but the first one is so good. And this, like, I actually liked the second, like, 2 and 3. I wouldn't call them good, but I still enjoyed them. But it does make you wonder, like, was there just a series of coincidences that we got like a good movie from Pirates of the Caribbean? Because Pirates of the Caribbean is like, I mean, I would say it's one of the best. Well, it's definitely one of the best Disney movies, but I think it's one of the best movies overall of the last like 20-ish years. Like everything about that movie is just so fun. All the performances are good. The characters are good. Everything's interesting. The action scenes are super dynamic. Like, you can tell a lot of work went into it. The CGI is fucking good. Like, I rewatched them recently. Oh, you know, within the last few months. The special effects still hold up. Which is, I mean, shit. Even the special effects in Deadpool and Wolverine from last week don't hold up. So it's you know, Davy Jones, if you watch 2 and 3, still look awesome. Like all his little tentacle things. He feels like he's there with you. Damn. So, like, it's just one of those things that makes you wonder. What's that sound? What sound? Is it is the gameplay echoing in the microphone? Because no one said anything. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean is a perfect example of like the same people. I'm pretty sure made all of them. Oh, sound like breathing? I don't know. I don't think it's me. But Pirates of the Caribbean, like when the same people make all the movies and they just kind of fall apart. I guess you could say the same about the Matrix, also, right? Like, there's part of you that wonders, did they just get lucky? And that's kind of what I think about M. Night Shyamalan at this point is like, when you're, let's just call it 4 for 21 to be nice, you do have to wonder, like, did he just get lucky with those first couple movies? Or did he have more time or more constraints or less pressure? Like something changed. And it could just be one of those things where, you know, once you're no longer um purely driven by passion or desperation or whatever you want to say, that you just kind of lose quality. I feel like you see this a lot of the time with stand-up comedians where they start out really funny when they're young, and then as they get older and more famous, the jokes become a little bit safer, a little bit more stale. They just don't quite have it anymore. Obviously, it's not always the case, but I feel like you see it a lot. Like I like Bill Burr quite a bit, and you know, his last couple of stand-ups were like decent, but kind of also felt like boomer humor. So I don't know. I mean, I do have an appreciation for him because he does his own original things, and clearly he's putting he's clearly putting thought into stuff. It's not like he's just trying to crank out shit. But I feel like what he's doing is kind of trying to recapture the magic of the Sixth Sense. Like it feels like he has it feels like he feels like he needs to have a twist in every single movie that's like, oh, you know? And that's just I don't know I don't know if that's the case, but that's kind of how it feels to me. And I feel like that's kind of what's fucking him up. Um Mr. Divine says, does M. Night produce or have his own studio? When I looked at his IMDb, I just glanced at it, but he's given writer, director, and producer credit on all of his movies. So that's I mean, he's getting a lot of credit. I don't know if he has his own studio because I didn't bother to look that deeply into it. But you know, either way, I think to me it just seems like he needs someone with him to be like, hey man, like this is a cool idea, but your movie is broken. He should go back to writing Stuart Little. Yeah, I mean, like he clearly has a lot of good ideas and interesting ideas. I it's just one of those things. I think I said this to somebody in the comments. I can't remember who it was. It might have been you, Mr. Divine. I kind of wonder if he needs if he's kind of like the George Lucas thing going, where he had such early success that just everyone was like sucking his dick, and now he's just surrounded by people who are like, "Oh, you're awesome. You know, you don't need to change fucking anything." Blah blah blah. You know, just the Zack Snyder. Oh my god. Yeah, I need to watch the Rebel Moon extended cut. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of dreading it because there's nothing that can fix that movie. That movie is another perfect example of a movie that is just broken on the surface. And Trap is a great example. Like that movie could have been reworked just a little bit and probably been great. That's funny. Mr. Divine and Jay Unlimited both said kind of like Zack Snyder. Yeah, Zack Snyder, man. I kind of wonder if that motherfucker got like hit in the head when he was 15 and then his brain just never developed past that. Because I'm going to watch it hopefully today, but I heard the extended cut of Rebel Moon is pretty much the same, except with more gore and some titties. Which, if that's true, it just feels like he's locked into being like a 14-year-old edgelord. I mean, I don't have a problem with him. Like, I like Man of Steel, even though that movie has a ton of issues. But, you know, he's also got a lot of misses. But I think what was the last thing that I had in the title? Gears of War? Yeah, I wanted to talk about Gears of War, but got kind of sidetracked with all that talk about music and operas and stuff, which is fine. I don't care. Maybe I'll talk about Gears of War next time. Mr. Divine says you had me at titties. Yeah, I mean, you know, I would find that plausible if you couldn't just Google like the images. Because I'm assuming it's Sophia, what's her name? Bulgara or whatever. I don't know what her name is. I'm assuming she's the one who you see her titties because there was a sex scene in the original version. And knowing Zack Snyder, I'm sure the sex scene goes from, 15 seconds to 15 minutes. And it'll be like softcore porn. So, yeah, I'm super not looking forward to that. And I could be mistaken, but I think the extended director's cut, whatever, that's like 3.5 hours, is only the first part. So, there's something to be said for being concise. And if you can't tell your fucking story in a movie in 2.5 hours, Like, there's no reason that that fucking movie should be 6 hours with how vacuous it is. That says I join in and just hear softcore porn. Yeah, I was talking about the Rebel Moon director's cut because all I heard was that there's more gore and more titties, or there's titties in it. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna try to keep these streams to about an hour. I did want to talk about Gears of War. Maybe I'll start with Gears of War next time because I feel like Gears of War kind of gets dismissed out of hand as just mindless gore and violence and stuff, and killing monsters. And I actually really like the story. And of course, being a nerd, I read the first 5 books, the first 5 books encompass Marcus's time before the war, like when he gets into jail. And that leads into the first game. That's actually the 5th book. It's called The Slab. There's a book between the first and second game. And then I think 3 of the books take place between the second and third game. And they're written by Karen Traviss, obviously very established sci-fi author. She wrote the Kilo 5 trilogy for Halo. I like the Kilo 5 trilogy. People shit on it. But I do want to talk about Gears of War because I really like the story. And I really like the characters. And I wish the games had just used a little bit more cutscene time to get you like emotionally invested in the characters. But I know that the focus of the game and sort of the gaming crowd is the explosions and the violence. And you still do get some pretty rough emotional scenes, obviously with Dom primarily. You see all the Carmen siblings fucking die. The stuff with I think his name is Ty in the second one, where you find him tortured and he fucking blows his head off with a shotgun. So there is stuff in there that they fit. I just wish they had spent a little bit more time on it. Because, and I get it, it's a game. They know the audience. But there is an aspect of the characters sort of feeling like caricatures almost. So I do want to talk about it. I'll probably start with that next week. Unless I watch something that, I want to talk about instead. But I'm going to call it here for today. I still need to stop being fucking lazy and look at getting a second channel set up to re-upload these podcasts or streams or whatever you want to call them. Because I think that, I don't know if it messes with the algorithm, but all the big channels do it. And, once I do the initial setup and upload the videos, there's really nothing else to it. So I should probably do it before I have too many videos. Because I'm already this is 12, I think. And, these uploads, even though I'm recording, the upload alone takes whatever, 4 or 5 hours. And the ones that are longer, like the 3-hour ones or 2-hour ones, obviously take even more time. So I'm hoping that I can watch Rebel Moon today. Maybe I'll get the video out today. And I am hoping to get my book done. I'm going home next weekend, so it won't be next weekend. But within the next couple weeks, if I can get my book done, reach out to some agents, they'll probably deny me. And then once I have like a set self-publishing date, I think what I'll probably do is read the first 4 chapters and upload a video of it, and then just put a link to the book in the description so that if you guys do want to read it, you can. And if you think it sounds boring and like a piece of shit because it's the first thing that I've written, that's fine too. But yeah, so that's kind of where things are at right now. There's not any series that I'm watching, so I don't have like a regular weekly upload that I'm doing. So we'll see. I think as far as movies, the next thing that comes out might be Alien Romulus, which, I mean, at this point, is anyone assuming it's going to be even decent? That's another franchise that is just a fucking corpse that keeps getting violated. As far as movies that I'm actually looking forward to, oh shit, there is one at the end of August, and I can't think of what it is now. Let me look real quick because I could have sworn there's a movie that, like a big movie. Um, I know Joker 2 comes out in October. What the fuck am I thinking about? I mean, I was actually looking forward to Trap, of course, but that was a steaming pile of dog shit. I didn't particularly care about Twisters. Um, oh, Borderlands. Borderlands comes out. So I haven't played that game, but I kind of want to see the movie because I'm pretty sure that was a PlayStation exclusive. I think the Alien movie's gonna be. Oh, Mr. Divine says I think the Alien movie's gonna be decent, but probably rely on member berries. Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, it just seems like a franchise that they don't seem like they know what they want to do with it. Like it's one of those things where it sort of ran its course, but there's too much money there, so they just feel like they have to keep trying. Same thing as Predator and Terminator. I mean, fucking pick one at this point. But okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Maybe I'll get a Rebel Moon video out tonight. I don't know. I mean, even if I start the movie right now, it won't be over till like 5 o'clock. Thanks, Zach. But okay, yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'll re-upload this for anybody who missed it and wants to watch it. And you know, if there's anything you want to force me to watch, feel free to become a member. The next things on my list are from Tyler and Jay, which are the movie Blowout, which I actually haven't even heard of. I thought I did, but I did not. And Tyler wants me to watch the first season of Deadwood from 2003 or 4. So I'll get to those at some point for Deadwood, this point, Jesus Christ. I'll get to those at some point this month for Blowout, and then either in late August or early September, hopefully, for Deadwood. Hey, what's up, Jay? Yeah, you showed up just in time. But, now you have access to it in your history, so you can just start from the beginning. But yeah, so for now, that's kind of what's going on. I'm hoping in a couple months here that I'll be back to just work and the channel, and then I can start, cranking out videos again. I really wanted to do a long form Acolyte video. I just don't know if I have the time. And there's a couple other long form things I wanted to do as well. So maybe I'll get to those slowly, but we'll see. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll see you guys. Enjoy your Sunday and, get back to work tomorrow for those of you who have regular hours. And go check out Tyler's opera singing. He said his Instagram is at Tyler Lee Tenor, which is Tenor. So, yeah, enjoy. I'd say like and subscribe and all that shit, but I mean, if you're here, you're already a subscriber. So, thanks. See ya.